Swadika, hello and welcome. You're watching ASEAN Challenge, the show to give you the latest headlines, hot topics and updates happening around your ASEAN community in two languages, Thai and English. I'm Rosalyn Tepawan.
And I'm Alisa สิทธิวงศ์ขอต้อนรับคุณผู้ชมทุกท่านเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ค่ะข่าวสารรอบอาเซียนภาษาอังกฤษและภาษาไทย
And what's happening in ASEAN around us. For our first break, we're going to talk about what's developing in Myanmar, along with its democratization and its efforts to really create more freedom. It seems like there's a lot of backfiring happening, especially with social media as it's so prevalent around Myanmar. So does the tool become used for other means, such as creating more hate, for example. According to the latest reports, Facebook has come out to admit that it has failed to do enough to prevent its platform from being used to fuel political division and bloodshed in Myanmar. This is something that continues to happen all throughout Myanmar, especially as there's a lot of persecution against minority groups such as Rohingya.
That's right. So previously, of course, Facebook has shut down a few pages, including official pages as well, from Myanmar officials due to the use of these pages. And now Facebook has also come out to admit as well that they've, what they say, failed to do enough to prevent its platform from being used to fuel political division and bloodshed in Myanmar. Now, the company has recently released a report, and it said that the damage caused in the Southeast Asian country by abuses of its social media network, including efforts to whip up hatred against the Rohingya Muslim group. Of course, it highlights another case of Facebook struggling to manage the rapid spread of hate and misinformation across one of its platforms and the impact of those failing on society. Now, Myanmar, of course, has a lot of people, we can say, using the social media platform itself. If we take a look at the numbers, a total of 20 million people use Facebook. Now, of course, out of the whole population, there's 54 million people, and there's only 99 people in Facebook who manages and controls what's going on on Facebook within the Myanmar community. So it's a little hard for them to be able to control, but they have come out to admit that they have failed at trying to prevent this from happening.
Right, indeed. That makes up almost half of the population of Myanmar using Facebook. But altogether, because of the quickness, the speed of which information passes along Facebook, a lot of that fueled political division, social division, as well as racial division in Myanmar as well. But what happened was, background a little bit here, Facebook admitted to the shortcomings in Myanmar previously, because in August, it admitted it was too slow to prevent the spread of this misinformation. It had banned later in the month 20 organizations and individuals in Myanmar, including one senior military commander, but many organizations, many NGOs and activists say too little happened, and it happened too late because the damage has already been done. Now Facebook is trying to create and consolidate lots of reports to assess the damages to the country, and Facebook has promised it will come out to do more to prevent such things from happening. But at the same time, whether or not it can do enough and whether or not it has the mandate to do enough in Myanmar, Facebook actually came out to say that this social media tool alone may not be enough to just completely prevent such situations from happening.
That's right. Speaking of report, of course, there's an organization called the Business for Social Responsibility, or BSR. They came out with a 60-page report into Facebook's role in the campaign against the Rohingya. And, of course, it mentioned that, well, it gave a long list of recommendations that said Facebook needs to implement different things. The nonprofit has warned that Myanmar's parliamentary elections in 2020 are likely to be a flashpoint for hate speech, harassment, misinformation, incitement to violence, and other actions designed to undermine the political process. Facebook would be well served by preparing for multiple eventualities now. So therefore, that's some of the recommendations that the BSR has given out to Facebook in the future comings.
Right, indeed. And that means that Facebook will have to assess what different scenarios could happen as a result of its various tools being implemented to prevent such incidents from reoccurring. But at the same time, it seems that the report as well noted the risk of human rights abuses has been linked to Facebook that had both significantly increased because of many things happening in Myanmar as well. So Myanmar's current lack of rule of law, their current cultural beliefs, also the recent emergence from decades of authoritarian rule in which freedom of expression was restricted, all added to fuel this increasing snowballing division and tension that's been increasing, with social media like Facebook being one tool to even perpetuate that even worse.
Now the question arises, can Facebook fix itself? The company has invested heavily in people, technology, and partnerships to examine and address abuse of Facebook in Myanmar, adding that it has made progress towards many of the recommendations made by the BSR as well. So hopefully in the future, of course, there will be fixing done. They do acknowledge what they have failed at, of course, and as mentioned, they have invested heavily. And so therefore, as the report has called for improving the enforcement of Facebook's community standards and increasing engagement with key organizations in Myanmar, including the government and civil rights group, Facebook also needs to increase transparency in preserving and publishing data. And the report says that it is specific to Myanmar so that the local and international community can evaluate progress more effectively.
Right, indeed. And so Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, he promised to do more in April and beyond to help tackle hate speech in Myanmar after various activists accused him of turning a blind eye. But again, Facebook, while admitting to their shortcomings in Myanmar, they acknowledged that while it was too slow to prevent the spread of hate, when it banned several organizations and individuals in Myanmar, they can only do so much. So still, in response to an open letter from a group of tech and nonprofit organizations, Zuckerberg went on to say that the social media giant will try to introduce technological improvements to do more to filter this hate. And so far, it's hired dozens more Burmese language moderators to deal with the issue. So again, we'll have to assess the situation to see if still this is doing enough or if it's doing too little and too late. But so far, Zuckerberg said they have a special product team working to understand the specific local challenges so they can specifically build more tools appropriate to help the people there and keep them safe.
That's right. But on the other side, of course, some human rights activists in Myanmar have commented about the situation with Facebook and their response. They said that Facebook's response is too little, too late. One of the activists, his name is Zarni, said that people in Myanmar goes by only one name, of course, and described that the new report is a complete whitewash. That's a quote from Zarni, the activist. He accused Facebook of resorting to PR rather than taking stronger measures to root out the spread of hate on its platform in Myanmar.
Indeed, so we have to keep monitoring to see what new tools Facebook will use and implement on Myanmar, especially with so much division still ongoing.
ใช่แล้วค่ะ ASEAN Around Us ในสัปดาห์นี้นะคะจะพาคุณผู้ชมไปที่ประเทศเมียนมากันค่ะซึ่งมีประเด็นเกี่ยวกับ Facebook ที่เกิดขึ้นนะคะในรายงานโดยบริษัทที่ตรวจสอบธุรกิจเพื่อความรับผิดชอบต่อสังคมนะคะหรือว่า BSR เนี่ยค่ะได้ออกมากับรายงานตัวหนึ่ง60 หน้าด้วยกันที่ระบุไว้ว่า Facebook ยังไม่สามารถป้องกันแพลตฟอร์มของตัวเองออกจากการเป็นฉนวนเหตุของการปลุกระดมให้เกิดความรุนแรงแล้วก็ความเกลียดชังในเมียนมานะคะซึ่งตัวรายงานเนี่ยมีทั้งหมด60 กว่าหน้าด้วยกันแล้วก็มีการตรวจสอบบทบาทของเครือข่ายสังคมออนไลน์ของ Facebook เนี่ยต่อสถานการณ์ทางสังคมแล้วก็การเมืองในเมียนมาโดยมีสาระสำคัญว่า Facebook ควรจะเพิ่มการมีส่วนร่วมทั้งกับภาครัฐแล้วก็ภาคประชาชนในการป้องกันและแก้ไขปัญหาในเมียนมาค่ะซึ่งในปัจจุบันนะคะในเมียนมาเองนะคะก็มีผู้ใช้ Facebook ประมาณ20 ล้านคนจากประชาชนทั้งหมดราว54 ล้านคนนะคะแต่ว่า Facebook เนี่ยมีทีมงานเพียง99 คนที่จะคอยตรวจเนื้อหาแล้วก็พฤติกรรมการใช้งานของ Facebook ในเมียนมาซึ่งแน่นอนอยู่แล้วก็เปิดโอกาสให้คนที่ใช้งานเนี่ยสามารถที่จะใช้ช่องโหว่ตรงนี้เพื่อที่จะปลุกระดมความเกลียดชังแล้วก็ความรุนแรงในสังคมได้ Facebook ก็ออกมาบอกว่าจะเพิ่มเทคโนโลยีต่างๆเพื่อที่จะไม่ให้ปัญหาในอนาคตเกิดขึ้นอีกค่ะ
ใช่ค่ะแต่ว่าก็มีหลายอย่างนะคะนอกเหนือจาก Facebook พยายามที่จัดการปัญหาหรือว่าไม่ให้มันเกิดขึ้นต่อเนื่องนะคะทางประเทศเมียนมาก็จะมีอุปสรรคบ้างเช่นเดียวกันนะคะอย่างเช่นวัฒนธรรมเก่าแก่ที่ยังเป็นความเชื่อถือหลักในประเทศนะคะพร้อมกับกฎหมายที่อาจจะยังไม่ตามเทคโนโลยีให้ทันนะคะแล้วก็มีอย่างอื่นด้วยอย่างเช่นยกตัวอย่างประเทศเมียนมามีการพัฒนาปรับเปลี่ยนวิธีการเรียกว่า democratization ใช่ไหมคะซึ่งทำให้คนต้องปรับตัวอย่างเร็วค่ะก็มีหลายประเด็นที่เกี่ยวข้องทำให้สถานการณ์อาจจะยังไม่มั่นคงเท่าที่ได้ค่ะ
ค่ะทางซักเกอร์เบิร์กก็แน่นอนบอกว่าจะลงทุนด้านไม่ว่าจะเป็นทรัพยากรเทคโนโลยีต่างๆหรือว่าทีมงานเพื่อที่จะป้องกันไม่ให้มีเหตุการณ์แบบนี้เกิดขึ้นแล้วก็สามารถที่จะช่วยเหลือหรือแก้ไขสถานการณ์แต่ว่าบางคนทางเมียนมาเองเนี่ยก็ออกมาบอกว่า Facebook ยังทำไม่เพียงพอนะคะก็ต้องติดตามกันดูว่าจะเป็นอย่างไรต่อไป
ใช่ค่ะ and also something to look at to see how Facebook affects other cultures and countries as well. With that said, we take a short break. When we come back, more updates in ASEAN hot issues. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Into ASEAN hot issues, we talk about what is making headlines around ASEAN and beyond. Taking a look in Indonesia to follow up with what's going on with the damaged Lion Air crash, the first of its kind for this particular plane. The Boeing 737 MAX had crashed earlier in October now, the 29th of October, 13 minutes after it took off. On its way over to another island in Indonesia, a tin mining town of Pangkal Pinang. Now, in that situation, with the disaster mitigation officials trying to claim all the evidence and trying to claim all the black boxes involved to see what happened in the situation there, the Transportation Safety Committee of Indonesia had come out to say now that an airspeed indicator of the plane that crashed was actually recuperated. It was actually damaged itself over the last 4 flights. So that was quite a surprise, a shock right there for a plane to be active but have a damaged airspeed indicator box. Now, various officials say that it's still too early to diagnose what went wrong entirely, but this was a very strong indicator of what could have gone wrong, an airspeed indicator being broken over the last 4 flights. Now, this damage was revealed after the data had been downloaded from the plane's flight data recorder, according to the KNKT chief. And the chief, Sergento Jono, told reporters that the Boeing and U.S. authorities are now being consulted as to what action officials have to take to prevent similar problems from happening again on this type of plane around the world.
That's right. As you mentioned, that it's too early to conclude what actually happened. That is because authorities have yet to recover the jet's cockpit voice recorder from the sea floor just northeast of Jakarta, where the plane crashed, of course. Now, the Lion Air crash was the first involving the type of plane, as you mentioned, which airlines introduced into service last year. And safety experts say it's too early, as mentioned, because even though we have this information that has been downloaded, they still need to listen to the voice recordings of the pilots during the action of what actually happened. So we'll have to keep you posted, of course, on the situation as well.
Right.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนข่าวอาเซียนฮอตอิชชูในสัปดาห์นี้นะคะไปดูข่าวความคืบหน้าของ Flight Lion Air นะคะจากอินโดนีเซียซึ่งทางรัฐบาลอินโดนีเซียได้เผยการวิเคราะห์ข้อมูลเบื้องต้นจากกล่องดำของเครื่องบินโดยสาร Lion Air ซึ่งตกในทะเลชวานะคะที่ฆ่าชีวิตผู้ที่อยู่บนเครื่องทั้งหมด189คนเมื่อปลายเดือนที่แล้วพบปัญหาที่มาตรวัดความเร็วใน4เที่ยวบินล่าสุดรวมถึงเที่ยวบินที่ตกด้วยนะคะขณะที่ ภายในห้องเครื่องบินนะคะมีการติดตั้งอุปกรณ์วัดความเร็ว2เครื่องสำหรับกัปตันแล้วก็ผู้ช่วยนักบินนะคะแต่ว่ามีอุปกรณ์เครื่องใดเครื่องหนึ่งเนี่ยแสดงผลคลาดเคลื่อนซึ่งแน่นอนว่าส่งผลต่อการควบคุมเครื่องบินนั่นเองนะคะแต่ว่าอย่างไรก็ตามนะคะก็ยังไม่สามารถที่จะสรุปได้ว่าเป็นเหตุการณ์หรือว่าเหตุการณ์ที่ทำให้เครื่องบินเที่ยวนี้ตกเป็นเพราะเหตุผลนี้หรือเปล่าเนี่ยยังไม่สามารถสรุปได้อย่างเป็นทางการเนื่องจากว่ายังไม่พบกล่องดำที่ยังเหลืออีก1กล่องซึ่งเป็นการบันทึกเสียงภายในห้องนักบินนั่นเองค่ะ
ใช่แล้วค่ะ Meanwhile as the search continues and efforts are still underway, it seems the Indonesian President Joko Widodo had also gone to the site. He urged searchers to speed up the operations to find those who are currently still unaccounted for in the crash 5 days and longer after the fatal plane crash on October 29th, killing 189 people. Now, with that said, Indonesian divers are also still continuing their efforts, resuming their search for the second black box that would tell them what went wrong amid the sunken wreckage of the nearly new plane that had been in use for less than a year, it seems, last August now. And the plane itself has been in pieces. At the same time, rescue efforts are still trying to search for the missing people. Only one relative, it seems, actually, with the victims' relatives actually trying to figure out what went wrong here. Investigations of the aircraft still continue, trying to identify the victims as well. One passenger has been identified so far from the partial remains. After the traffic control was lost, the contact was lost 13 minutes into the flight.
That's right. So only one has been identified while victims of the rest of the relatives are still very desperate to know what happened and they need to figure out what's going to happen, and find this last black box, as you mentioned. Indonesia overall is considered as one of the world's fastest growing aviation markets, but however, Transport Safety investigated that there has been 137 serious aviation incidents from 2012 to 2017. So safety matters are still a critical issue in Indonesia, even though their aviation market is growing extremely fast.
Right, considering it's a hub for travel and also a hub for tourism and such, just within the 5-year span, 137 serious aviation incidents happening is definitely a cause for alarm.
ค่ะต่อเนื่องจากข่าว Lion Air นะคะซึ่งทางประธานาธิบดีของอินโดนีเซียค่ะโจโกวิโดโดนะคะก็ได้เรียกร้องให้ทีมงานเร่งหาผู้เสียชีวิตเพิ่มเติมนะคะแล้วก็ณขนาดนี้กล่องดำอย่างที่บอกไปค้นพบได้ยังไม่ครบนะคะยังเหลืออีก1กล่องดำที่จะเป็นการเป็นเสียงของนักบินนั่นเองนะคะคราวนี้ผู้ค้นหาเนี่ยก็ได้พบกล่องดำเพียงส่วนเดียวอย่างที่บอกไปนะคะแล้วก็ผู้โดยสารเพียง1รายสามารถระบุตัวได้เรียบร้อยแล้วถึงแม้ว่าญาติเนี่ยของเหยื่อก็ค่อนข้างที่จะหมดหวังแต่ว่าอยากจะรู้ว่าเกิดอะไรขึ้นก็ยังต้องค้นพบกันต่อไปนะคะทั้งนี้ทางอินโดนีเซียเนี่ยก็ถือว่าเป็น1ตลาดการบินที่เติบโตเร็วที่สุดในโลกแต่ว่ามีปัญหาความปลอดภัยเนื่องจากอุบัติเหตุที่ผ่านมานะคะจากปี 2012 ถึง 2017 เนี่ยมีทั้งหมด137 ครั้งตั้งแต่ช่วงระยะเวลาไม่กี่ปี5 ปีที่ผ่านมานะคะก็ถือว่าเยอะ
ใช่ค่ะเป็นอุทาหรณ์ที่สำคัญนะคะที่ต้องป้องกันไม่ให้เกิดขึ้นอีก Meanwhile, from Indonesia, we move over to Myanmar to see what new developments are happening in a very controversial case that has continued. Lawyers for the 2 Reuters reporters that were jailed, who were jailed for 7 years in Myanmar, who were convicted of breaking the country's Official Secrets Act, has now appealed against this conviction in this state secrets case. The lawyers for both reporters are representing them and have spoken to the press. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to cite evidence of a police setup and lack of proof of their crime.
That's right. So, of course, they quote that we filed an appeal because the trial court's ruling was wrong. This was said by Reuters president and editor-in-chief Stephen J. Adler in a statement, and quoting, in condemning them as spies, it ignored compelling evidence of a police setup, serious due process violations, and the prosecution's failure to prove any of the key elements of the crime. He also added the court shifted the burden of proof from the prosecution to the Reuters reporters, Walone and Kyoso-u, and called on Myanmar to uphold its stated dedication to rule of law, freedom of the press, and democracy by ordering the release of their colleagues.
Altogether, though, the case is still impending. We'll have to see how the court responds to this appeal and how the efforts in this investigation will go in their favor or against. But both the reporters were found guilty in September after a trial at a Yangon court in a landmark case. It raised questions about Myanmar's progress toward democracy and also sparked serious outcry from both diplomats and human rights advocates, and of course the journalism circle altogether. People had even joined in protest for their freedom.
แล้วค่ะมาดูความคืบหน้าของคดีผู้สื่อข่าวรอยเตอร์ที่เมียนมากันบ้างนะคะทางทนายความของทั้งสองผู้สื่อข่าวสำนักข่าวรอยเตอร์ที่ถูกโทษคุมขัง7ปีในเมียนมานะคะก็ได้ยื่นคำร้องต่อศาลเมื่อวันจันทร์ที่5พฤศจิกายนที่ผ่านมานะคะต่อความเชื่อมั่นของพวกเขาในข้อหาละเมิดกฎหมายลับทางการของประเทศโดยอุทธรณ์อ้างหลักฐานการจัดตั้งตำรวจและการขัดหลักฐานเป็นอาชญากรรมนะคะทั้งนี้ยังได้เรียกร้องให้ศาลยึดมั่นในการอุทิศตนเพื่อการปกครองตามกฎหมายอิสรภาพของสื่อมวลชนและระบบประชาธิปไตยโดยสั่งให้ปล่อยตัวของเพื่อนร่วมงานของเขาอันนี้เป็นสิ่งที่นายสตีเฟนเจแอดเลอร์นะคะประธานและหัวหน้าบรรณาธิการของReuters กล่าวเอาไว้ค่ะ
So we'll keep you posted on more developments coming from Myanmar. If the appeal is successful, if the case continues in a positive direction, definitely some good news for the journalism industry. Meanwhile, from Myanmar, we head over to more developments coming from Malaysia now. In another court case that has emerged, a British woman has been charged Tuesday with murdering her husband, who was found dead at their home in the Malaysian resort island of Langkawi. Both the couple were there in Malaysia on a residency, a long-staying visa or a residency program. They were there for the past 11 years under this particular program when the couple engaged in a fight. Now, in the reports here, Samantha Jones, age 51, had confessed that she stabbed her husband in the chest during an argument they had. And after that, it seems the blood-stained knife had been found on the floor of their bedroom following her arrest when police went in to investigate. Now, the body of John Williams Jones, age 63, was found earlier on October 18th. Now, under current laws, Malaysia still engages in the death penalty, capital punishment, which the government has recently pledged it will abolish, but whether or not it will be abolished soon enough to cover the case of Samantha Jones is another case we'll have to follow. But this capital punishment involves death by hanging if Samantha Jones were to be found guilty of murder.
ค่ะมาดูกันอีกหนึ่งคดีที่ค่อนข้างสลดแล้วก็โหดมากๆนะคะของมาเลเซียนั่นเองนะคะทางมาเลเซียเนี่ยก็มีคดีออกมาว่ามีหญิงชาวอังกฤษนะคะถูกตั้งข้อกล่าวหาฆาตกรรมสามีของเธอที่บ้านของพวกเขาบนเกาะรีสอร์ทของมาเลเซียในลังกาวีนะคะเธอผู้นี้ชื่อซามันธาโจนส์อายุ51ปีค่ะก็สารภาพว่าเธอแทงสามีของเธอที่หน้าอกในระหว่างการโต้เถียงกันโดยทั้งคู่เนี่ยย้ายไปอยู่ที่เกาะเมื่อ11ปีที่แล้วนะคะภายใต้โครงการที่พักอาศัยระยะยาวซึ่งจะทำให้ชาวต่างชาติได้รับวีซ่านานขึ้นนะคะทั้งนี้ทางตำรวจค่ะก็ได้พบว่ามีมีดเปื้อนเลือดอยู่บนพื้นห้องนอนนะคะของพวกเขาโดยที่ร่างของนายจอห์นวิลเลียมโจนส์อายุ63ปีถูกพบในวันที่18ตุลาคมที่ผ่านมานะคะทางกฎหมายปัจจุบันของมาเลเซียค่ะโจนจะถูกตัดสินประหารชีวิตโดยการแขวนคอหากพบว่ามีความผิดในคดีฆาตกรรมซึ่งเป็นโทษประหารชีวิตในมาเลเซียอย่างไรก็ตามนะคะทางรัฐบาลเพิ่งให้คำมั่นที่จะยกเลิกโทษประหารชีวิตสำหรับอาชญากรรมทั้งหมดซึ่งฝ่ายนิติบัญญัติยังคงต้องอนุมัติการเปลี่ยนแปลงต่อไปนะคะสำหรับการพิจารณาคดีต่อไปก็จะเกิดขึ้นในวันที่29พฤศจิกายนค่ะ
ใช่แล้วค่ะStill in Malaysia now, but on a lighter note this time. Now, Malaysia's Mahathir has gone to visit Tokyo to meet with Japan's Emperor and the Prime Minister Abe as well to receive a very prestigious award this time around. Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad was one of 10 people altogether in Tokyo earlier on Tuesday to receive one of Japan's most prestigious awards, which is called the Grand Cordon of the Order of Paulownia Flowers, which is granted by the Emperor Akihito himself, possibly the last award he will grant before he abdicates on April 30th, 2019. Altogether, not many people received this prestigious award. This 93-year-old, who's on his third trip to Japan since taking office in May, Mahathir received the award traditionally conferred to politicians, former prime ministers, ministers, diplomats, and judges as well, all the way at the imperial palace, directly from the hands of the emperor himself. Other foreign statesmen to have received the prize in the past include Singapore's founding father, the late Lee Kuan Yew, also India's former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and many others. Now, altogether, this ceremony came as well as his diplomatic trip as well, since Mahathir sat down for talks with his Japanese counterpart, Shinzo Abe, after the ceremony.
That's right, and they talked about various investments and regional issues. Mahathir also told the media later that he felt honored to receive the award and added that he is looking to enhance his Look East policy, which aims to strengthen ties with East Asia with the cooperation of Japan, particularly in the field of education นะคะอันนี้ก็เป็นอีกหนึ่งข่าวของมาเลเซียแต่ว่ามาในด้านเป็นข่าวดีมากกว่านะคะสำหรับผู้นำมาเลเซียนะคะที่ไปเยือนกรุงโตเกียวของญี่ปุ่นนะคะทางนายกรัฐมนตรีมหาเทียมูฮัมหมัดนะคะของมาเลเซียเข้ารับพระราชทานเครื่องราชอิสริยาภรณ์ดอกคิริจากสมเด็จพระจักรพรรดิญี่ปุ่นนะคะที่พระราชวังอิมพีเรียลในกรุงโตเกียวของญี่ปุ่นซึ่งเป็นช่วงที่นายมหาเทียเยือนญี่ปุ่น3วันโดยเครื่องราชอิสริยาภรณ์ดอกคิริจะถูกพระราชทานแก่ผู้นำต่างประเทศที่อุทิศตนเพื่อการสร้างเสริมความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศที่เข้มแข็งกับญี่ปุ่นนั่นเองนะคะทั้งนี้นะคะนายมหาเทียถือเป็นผู้นำคนที่3จากเอเชียที่ได้รับพระราชทานเครื่องราชอิสริยาภรณ์ดอกคิริหลังจากก่อนหน้านี้นะคะมีผู้นำจากต่างประเทศจากเอเชียที่ได้รับพระราชทานคืออดีตนายกรัฐมนตรีลีกวนยูของสิงคโปร์แล้วก็อดีตนายกรัฐมนตรีมานโฮมะขออภัยค่ะมานโมฮันซิงของอินเดียค่ะ
Definitely, what an honor to receive such an award. Also, we'll keep watch to see how many others receive such excellent awards and what new meetings happened between diplomats and country leaders in the future of ASEAN. But with that, we take a short break. More coming up after the break in ASEAN calendar. Stay tuned.
พักกันสักครู่ค่ะ
Welcome back to the program. Into ASEAN calendar now. Lots of interesting events coming up around your ASEAN calendar.
ค่ะในช่วงนี้นะคะ ASEAN calendar ไปติดตามกันว่ามีอีเวนต์อะไรบ้างค่ะ
Singapore Deepavali Festival.Deepavali Festival is an important festival celebrated by Hindus in Singapore. It normally occurs in October or November each year. It also is known as Diwali Festival or the Festival of Light. It's a celebration of the triumph of good over evil. And there's a legend behind this celebration. Legend of Deepavali Festival. Once upon a time, the kingdom of Bradyoshapuram was ruled by a demon named Narakasura. Under the demon's rule, the villagers suffered a lot of hardship as the demon tortured the people and kidnapped the women to be imprisoned in his palace. Unable to tolerate this wickedness, Lord Krishna set out to destroy the demon, and the day Narakasura died was celebrated as Deepavali. Thus, Deepavali is the celebration of the defeat of the evil demon Narakasura by Lord Krishna. How it is celebrated in Singapore. Singaporean Hindus will clean or redecorate their houses a few weeks before Deepavali festival. They'll shop for new clothes, visit Indian shops to buy greeting cards, carpets, Punjabi suits, and flowers. On the actual day, Hindus will get up early in the morning to take a ritual oil bath to remove impurities from their bodies, after which they'll dress themselves in brightly colored clothes, except for the color black, as it's considered inauspicious. Kolam, which is art of floor painting, using colored rice grains or powdered rice, is used to decorate the entrance of all homes or offices. Diyas or oil lamps of different shapes are lit and placed everywhere in the home so that the goddess Lakshmi can find her way around and bless the household. It's also common to find 11 mango leaves being used to decorate the main door of the house, as Hindus believe that this leaf arrangement will attract positive energy and repel evil. Place to visit during Deepavali. If you're in Singapore during the Deepavali festival month, you must visit Little India in Singapore. The Indian community of Singapore and Indian foreign workers gather at the Little Indian temple to do their prayers and festive shopping. Streets in Little India are illuminated with spectacular lights and decorated with flower garlands and glittering tinsel. You'll be able to see numerous stalls and Indian shops selling costumes, including saris, Punjabi suits, shining jewelry, aromatic spices, and jasmine garlands.
The 9th of November 2018, Independence Day in Cambodia. Independence Day in Cambodia falls on November 9th, the day in 1953 when its independence from France was finally recognized. The Khmer people of Cambodia had long maintained their own identity and had often had their own nation in the ancient past, but during the colonial era they fell under French rule for a 90-year period. In 1867, to escape the ambitions of other nations, the King of Cambodia invited the French to establish a protectorate over his country. Neighboring Siam then was forced to give up its claim on Cambodian territory, and by 1887, Cambodia was made part of the unified colony of French Indochina. Cambodia fell under Japanese control during World War II, but it was returned to France after the war. Due to unrest, France allowed Cambodia limited self-rule in 1946. But this did not quench the thirst for full independence, which was not granted until 1953. The Cambodians celebrate their independence every year with various parades, events, and fireworks displays all across the nation. The biggest celebrations take place in the capital city of Phnom Penh, but they are not all limited to that vicinity. Cambodian Independence Day is a time for celebrating the long journey that the Khmer people have made through centuries of oppression and conflict to Cambodia's present status as a free and independent nation. Cambodia contains more than only Khmer. There are heavy Chinese and Vietnamese populations, for example, and much French influence on its history. Celebrating Cambodian independence needs not be a rejection of those outside influences, for they have found unique Cambodian expressions and became an integral part of existing culture. The 20th of November 2018, Prophet Muhammad's birthday. Prophet Muhammad's birthday is commemorated by Muslims during the month of Rabi al-Awwal, the third month of the Muslim calendar. Prophet Muhammad's birthday is also called Maulud Nabi in Malaysia and is commonly marked by religious lectures and readings of the Quran. Muhammad's birthday was approximately in the year 570 in the Gregorian calendar. His uncle raised him after both the boy's parents died while he was very young. Prophet Muhammad learned the trades of the merchant and of shepherding. He began to preach around the age of 40. Eventually, he and his followers, numbering around 10,000, took control of Mecca. Muhammad died from an illness in 632 after uniting Arabia into a single Muslim entity. The 22nd of November 2018 Loi Krathong Festival. Celebrated nationwide, Loi Krathong is probably Thailand's most beautiful and enchanting festival. The word Loi means to float, whilst Krathong are small rafts or baskets. Traditionally made from banana leaves or the bark of a banana tree, the kratongs usually contain a candle, incense, and flowers. The person who will be floating the kratong will often take a small clipping of their hair or fingernail, which will then be added to the kratong together with some coins. The candle and incense are then lit and a wish is made before the kratong is placed on the nearest stretch of water. It is believed that the kratong carries away bad luck and signals a fresh start. Dates for Loi Kratong. The festival is held on the full moon of the 12th month of the traditional Thai lunar calendar, which is usually in November. Origins of Loi Kratong. The precise origin of Loi Kratong is unclear, but it is widely believed to have originated in the ancient Thai capital of Sukhothai during the 13th or 14th century. The festival may have Brahmin origins, but has been given a typically unique Thai twist over the years. Coming at the end of the rainy season, it is also believed that the tradition pays homage to the water goddess Mae Kong Ka, or Mother of Waters, and the kratongs are offerings to her. Modern-day Loi Kratong. The festival has evolved to include music concerts and beauty pageants and is another great excuse for a party. Falling during the school holidays, Loi Kratong is also a family affair, with parents often helping their children to make the kratongs. Where to see Loi Kratong? The festival is celebrated throughout Thailand, and wherever you find yourself, there is almost certain to be a celebration somewhere close at hand. Loi Kratong is particularly famous in Sukhothai, Ayutthaya, Chiang Mai, and Pak.
And those were the ASEAN calendar highlights for this week and beyond. With that, we take a short break. More coming up in ASEAN Interview.
เดี๋ยวกลับมาสักครู่ค่ะ
Welcome back into ASEAN Interview. Now we take you to take a look at Myanmar to see what authorities are doing now to try and convince Rohingya to return to accept ID cards.
แต่ละค่ะในอาเซียนอินเทอร์วิวในสัปดาห์นี้นะคะจะไปดูความคืบหน้าของสถานการณ์โรฮิงญากับเมียนมานั่นเองนะคะซึ่งทางการของเมียนมาก็ได้เรียกร้องให้ชาวโรฮิงญากลับประเทศแล้วมารับบัตรประชาชนนั่นเองค่ะ
Myanmar officials visited camps for Rohingya Muslim refugees in Bangladesh on Wednesday, October 31st, in efforts to kickstart a process to repatriate hundreds of thousands who fled an army crackdown last year. More than 700,000 Rohingya refugees crossed into Bangladesh from western Myanmar, according to UN agencies, after Rohingya insurgent attacks on Myanmar security forces in August 2017 triggered a sweeping military response. Officials said after meetings in Dhaka on Tuesday, returns would begin next month. But the UN refugee agencies said conditions in Rakhine State were not yet conducive for returns. Permanent Secretary at Myanmar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and leader of the Myanmar delegation, Min Tu, said Myanmar had verified about 5,000 names of refugees and that repatriation would begin with a first batch of 2,000 returnees in mid-November.
Yesterday, we had a joint working group meeting in Dhaka, and then Myanmar and Bangladesh agreed to commence the first group of repatriation in mid-November, next month. And we are here to meet with the people from the camps so that I can explain what we have prepared for their return, and then I can listen their voices. So they asked me about some issues, and then I responded to them. For instance, the NVC, freedom of movement, education, health, and then their nationality status. So I have responded to them. So in order for us to better understand each other, So this is the best opportunity to come and listen to their voices. So we will work with the Bangladesh government to repatriate the verified people from back to Myanmar. So we have plans for their return, and then we have the reception centers and transit centers, as well as we will provide them necessary assistance upon their return. So we have received 8032 people. So from out of 8032, we have already verified about 5,000. So from that 5,000, the first batch will be about 2,000 people, and then second batch will follow the same. So mid-November, we will receive the first batch. Thank you.
Rohingya people said after Wednesday's meeting that they're unconvinced about the proposed repatriation, as they want Myanmar to recognize them as an ethnic group with a right to Myanmar citizenship before they return.
But we don't believe the Myanmar government because they are saying one thing and doing another thing. Every time, every day, every seconds, they're lying. So we don't believe the Myanmar government. We need the international protection. And also another thing is they are lying about our ethnicity. They call us Bengali, but we don't Bengali, never. Before independence, we live in the Myanmar. We have every kind of document. And also Myanmar government recognized us as the Rohingya ethnic. But at that time, Myanmar government denying that. If Myanmar government do not restore us as the Rohingya ethnicity, we don't go back in our original homeland.
Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya, not Bengali. Yes, Rohingya.
The UN Refugee Agency said on Wednesday that conditions in Rakhine State were not conducive for a safe, dignified and voluntary return for Rohingya refugees, stressing that such repatriations must be voluntary. Bangladesh and Myanmar agreed on Tuesday to begin by November the repatriation of hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims who fled to Bangladesh to escape an army crackdown. Necessary safeguards are absent in the region, where access is limited amid continuing restrictions for media and other independent observers. This comes from the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Refugees, spokesman Andrek Mahisic.
We still face restrictions in terms of access for the aid agencies, for the media, for other independent observers, and at the same time there are still a number of Rohingya refugees who are arriving into Bangladesh. Since January this year alone, another 14,000 have crossed the border and have entered Bangladesh. The conditions on the ground right now are not conducive for the safe, dignified and voluntary return of refugees. We basically have advised that the returns should not be rushed or premature. We would advise against setting any timetable or any target number for the repatriation. It is very important to understand that the repatriation needs to be a free and voluntary choice of refugees, that they need to decide that themselves based on knowledge and information about the conditions in the areas, in the countries of origin and in the areas of the return. The village assessments have started a while ago, and right now we have completed the second set of villages that have been approved by the government of Myanmar. Broadly, our findings do not differ from what we have already established in the first set of villages that we have visited in the course of September. There is a prevalent sentiment of fear and mistrust. Due to that, there is lack of contact, lack of interaction among the communities.
He added that UNHCR has completed the second phase of assessment in northern Rakhine State, but its access remains limited. Rohingya and other Muslims in the 3 townships suffer hardship and economic vulnerability because of restrictions on their movement, and the prevailing sentiment is fear and mistrust. Rohingya are still crossing the border into Bangladesh now, with nearly 14,000 arriving this year, according to the UNHCR. The head of the UN's World Food Programme, David Beasley, said Wednesday there were extreme conditions about the return of Rohingya Muslims from their camps in Cox's Bazar to Rakhine State in Myanmar, where they escaped the army crackdown. Bangladesh and Myanmar agreed on Tuesday to begin by November the repatriation of the Rohingya Muslims who fled to Bangladesh, though doubts about a speedy return are likely to persist. Beasley visited the Kutupalong camps on Tuesday and spoke to families about the prospect of returning.
But I can say very clearly from the people that I've talked to inside the camps, I think many do want to go back when it's safe. Will that day ever come? I don't know. I know if I were in their shoes, I'd have some extreme concerns about going back. And we heard that from people all over the camp. Be back in Bangladesh, a country that's really remarkably stepped up to the occasion to help. There's some people who don't want to go back under any circumstances. But these are decisions that each individual will be having to make based upon the information that's available. Thank you all very much.
More than 700,000 Rohingya refugees crossed from the west of mostly Buddhist Myanmar into Bangladesh from August last year after Rohingya insurgent attacks on the Myanmar security forces triggered a sweeping military response. Leaders of the largely stateless Rohingya community have said they will not return without various demands being met, including the right to Myanmar citizenship.
And that was the ASEAN interview for this week and wraps up our program. Thanks for watching and we'll see you next week. As for now, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ